Alright, got a little bit different content for the video today. Normally we're working on VW Audi stuff, but today customers sent in two Maserati ECUs for cloning. They asked if we could take on the job. I did a little research and found out that these ECUs are pretty much identical to the VW ECUs. I mean, they even look identical. This is for a 2008 Maserati Quattroporte. But I'll just show you real quick a VW ECU to compare. Here's a VW Mark IV 1.8T ECU. They look pretty damn similar. And the circuit boards are almost identical as well. They're both actually ME7.1.1. This one's 7.5, but the 7.1.1 and 7.5s are pretty much identical. So yeah, if you had a VW circuit board, which I can show you in a second. Here's the Maserati ECU, and here is a VW ECU. This one's from a Touareg, a V6 3.2 Touareg. If you can look at the two, they are identical. As far as I found, pretty much identical except for a few little chips that are in spots on one and not on the other. Very minuscule. Even the backs, identical. So, that being said, cloning should be the same procedure that we do for the VW ECUs for these older ME7s. All that should need to be done is reading everything from this EEPROM chip here. This one's a 95160, and transferring that data over to the EEPROM on the donor. The customer sent us this donor, and always want to make sure you have matching part numbers. The part numbers match between the old one and the donor. So we'll go ahead and get working. I already tried communicating with this one. I have this old one. You can see how bad it is. They said it had water damage, which is pretty obvious. This thing is completely cooked. Anyways, I wanted to hook it up to our top Don. Just see if we have any communication. I have it hooked up with a ME7 bench harness, and this is one that I use for the VWs, and it fits right onto the Maserati, which is nice. But yeah, failed to communicate with the control unit. I wanted to try to get the VIN number off of this one to make sure that once we do the cloning, it matches and it shows up on this one. But the customer sent me the VIN, so I already have that, just to make sure that everything goes smooth when we test it when we're done. And I had the donor hooked up to the top Don before, and I read the data, the ECU data from that one to get the VIN number. And so we have that VIN right there, ZAMF, starting with ZAMF. That's the VIN number for the donor unit, so that's why I took a screenshot. And we couldn't communicate with the original. Once I do the cloning, that VIN number should be different, and that VIN number will be the customer's vehicle's VIN number. Alright, I got the donor unit open. You can see no water damage on this one. Everything looks good compared to the original. So I'll go ahead and desolder the EEPROM from the original and get it read. Alright, we got the chips removed. I have this one in our XG Pro software. So we gotta change our chipset here. 95160, that's what the chip said. ST is the manufacturer. SOIC 8. If we read it, this is the original chip now. We should get data. Alright, perfect. We get a clean read. There's the VIN number of the original car. If you compare that to the VIN number of the donor ends with 724. This one ends with 753. Yeah, 039753. This one 034724. So once all said and done, whenever we read the donor again, we want this VIN number to be showing there. So just going to save up this original data. Rule of thumb, always save your data. Even from the donors, I save that as well, just in case something goes wrong. You could always write the original data back and get yourself out of trouble if you ever get yourself in. I've had a few situations where if I wouldn't have saved the data, I would have been royally screwed. Alright, we saved the original data from the original ECU. Now we got the EEPROM from the donor hooked up. And this should show the VIN then for the donor. Yep, that ends with 724. Now we'll go ahead and save this. Donor. Alright, save that. Now we're going to head and load our original. We loaded our original EEPROM. Now we're going to write that original EEPROM to the donor chip. Alright. So now when I read it, it should end with 753. Alright. Now the donor EEPROM is a clone of the original. I'm going to go ahead and get it soldered back in. Alright, we got the donor hooked back up to our top done. So we're just going to check and make sure that VIN number and all the immobilizer data wrote over. M139, Quattroporte, 08. Auto scan. This is the ME7 engine computer. Now if everything works right, we should have the VIN ending with 039753. Switch to ECU info. Alright, perfect. See the VIN there? 039753. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. There we go, took the screenshot. I'll go ahead and compare. So here's all the data from the donor. Well, let's start with this one. Here's the data from the original. There's the donor. Everything's identical. The only thing that changed is the VIN number. Well, it's funny. Actually, they both have the same production date number, which is kind of weird for both cars. So, well, yeah, that's successfully cloned. Now the customer can get their car back on the road, throw this water-damaged piece of crap in the garbage, and send this unit back to the donor after we close it up. So, now we can do Maseratis here at BC Autoworks. Turns out it was a lot simpler than we thought, but Bosch makes a lot of computers for many different manufacturers that are very similar to the VW and Audi stuff we do. So, being that we specialize with the Bosch ECUs and the Continentals, it's good we can start doing cross-platform stuff, start going over to different platforms. Anyways, now you know how to clone a 2008 Quattroporte ECU.